Did you use cold water or hot water?
Oh,
I told
wow.
you.
Called you out.
You used cold water, didn't you?
I did, and I said, I think she uses hot water and that's like her trade secret. Hi, and welcome to an episode of Liz Bakes For You. Today, my main ingredient is water, and it's going to turn into a pie, somehow. Due to some weird depression alchemy, this main ingredient turns into a pie, and at the very end of it, I eat this pie. It's also a video, again, where I don't really think you should make this. However, it might be fun to watch me do it. Let's get started. Someone who follows the show reached out and said, for your weird recipe next season, you should make a water pie. And I thought that they were punking me. All it has is a pie crust, which I'm gonna have to make. They like buy the Pillsbury one from the store, which is smart. I did not do that. And then in the pie, we're gonna just pour water in, pour flour and sugar in, pour vanilla extract in, and put butter pats on top, and stir none of it. It was very specific about that. One interesting note about this pie, other than the fact that it's mostly just water, is that apparently when you pull it out of the oven, it can be watery. They made sure to express that multiple times, and the fact that you need to let it cool completely and then sit overnight in the fridge after it cools. Which is all to say, as much as I'm not looking forward to eating this pie, I have to wait a whole day to eat this pie. We're gonna make a pie crust really quick. Woo! Now, they said deep dish pie. I have a little Pyrex here. I'm just gonna put that off to the side. Let's talk pie crusts. There are so many ways to make a pie crust. You can do it with shortening, which is what I'm doing today. I'm gonna use Crisco. You can do it with butter. I know they have like that hot water crust pie that they always make on Great British Bake Off. I have no idea what that is. But all I'm saying is everybody says they have the best pie recipe for like the best crust. And honestly, most of them are perfectly fine. I don't think you're gonna like blow anybody away with your pie crust recipe. So on that note, sorry mom, I'm using your recipe and it's pretty good. It is a pie crust recipe and it tends to work pretty well. The one thing I don't do with pie crust is I don't really ever measure stuff because it's more of a feel. So I'm gonna throw some flour in here and hope that I got, I think about a cup's good. And this is just all-purpose flour. Now my mom will tell you that her secret to her pie crust is that she adds salt to it. I don't think she's baked enough in her life because everybody adds salt to things. But just for you, mom, I'm gonna put some salt in this because it's your secret ingredient. I think she also uses hot water, which I'm not doing. So effectively I'm bastardizing my mom's recipe, which whatever. I think that as children, that's what we should do. We should take the things they give us and we should turn them into something different and somehow hopefully better, but maybe not. So every pie recipe, you want to work your fat into your flour. And yeah, I'm just diving in with my hands because, like I said, it's a feeling. So if I'm not like getting in here, I'm not gonna know when we're there. So you want this basically to get to a point where when you clump it together, it holds, but it's still crumbly. Because if you can believe it, there's one whole more ingredient in this, and it's water. If you don't wanna make a pie crust, you don't have to. You can just go to the store, buy a frozen one, and that will work really well. You can go to Whole Foods and buy one of the really fancy ones too. If you are someone who dries out paper towels to use them again, I do that. Sometimes you just wipe up water with them and you're like, well, this should just dry out and I can use it again. But this recipe is for you if you did that. If you saved every lotto ticket you ever bought, which might be more of a hoarder tendency, that's what my grandma did. Okay, let me show you this. So this is the texture I'm looking for. When I hold it up like this, see how it clumps together? Kind of holds its shape, but then it's just crumbly still. That's what you're looking for. And then we're gonna put a little water in. This is where I'm gonna grab this guy. And you just want enough water until it comes into a dough ball. And from here I'll roll it out and shape it. Which, I didn't grab my rolling pin. Okay, I think this is good. Now, ooh, crack my knuckles. What are you looking for in the amount of water you want in a pie crust? Well, you obviously don't want it to be super sticky. But you don't want it to be so dry that it's not malleable. So like, this is about where I want it to be, because I know when I go to roll this out, it'll give me a little pushback, but it's not gonna like mess up my day. You know what I mean? You ever rolled something out and you're like, this is just literally never becoming that? Actually, I just rewatched the episode where I made croissants, and that's how I felt that entire time. Eventually it did work. Rolling out a pie crust. Now, you're looking for a circular shape.
Oh.
And to be sure that your cat's hair isn't in the crust. What is happening? It won't go away. Okay. So, sorry, I straightened my hair today and it's so much longer than it normally is, and it's really just getting in the way. It's been stuck under my armpits and stuff. I don't like it. Anyway, you want a circle when you roll it out. So you should start with something nearing a circle shape. I don't think I did my microphone right.
You did.
We're going with it, guys. It's too late. I'm already making the pie crust. I can't do it again. What, are we gonna make 2 pies?
2 water pies?
No, absolutely not. I'm actually secretly, I want to be really good at pies, mostly because of the movie The Waitress, but I'm not good at pies. And the ones that I am good at are more along the lines of like custard pies. Specifically, fruit pies give me a lot of trouble, and it's just like, you know, kind of embarrassing. I'm supposed to be this baker, and someone's like, could you make me a cherry pie? And I'm like, I can't. I'll make you something that looks like a pie, but when you cut into it, it just turns into a ginormous mess. So, shape-wise, are we getting there? This is a little thick. I don't want it to be this thick. And also I want a little bit more overhang around the edges, so I'm gonna keep going a little bit, but you can always like grab your pie tin, bring it over, and keep in mind that you got an edge there, so like even if you lay it on top and the pie crust looks bigger than it, you probably need to go a little bit further. This is gonna spring back a bit too. We have our pie crust rolled out here. Just making sure it's evenly rolled out, because you don't want some thicker areas if you can avoid it. Now you can just pick this all up and plop it in there. My mom's little trick, fold it into quarters. Again, I assume these are my mother's tricks because she taught them to me. They might have been around for a very long time and not belong to her at all. But as far as I'm concerned, they do. So anyway, you put it back in there and you unfold it. Then you're like halfway to having a pie crust. Let's trim. I don't think scissors are used enough, like in kitchen related stuff. I feel like you should use scissors for more stuff. Have you ever seen people use them on pizza? You go to a dinner party, there's a knife or a fork and a pair of scissors at every place setting. Okay, now we have a little bit of an overhang. So with this overhang, we're gonna do a pinch. Now, I like to fold this up and under because that creates like a nice clean line here. You can fold it the other way, but then you've got not a clean line. So we're gonna fold this up, and then I'm gonna go back around and do the pinching because I don't have some crazy pinching technique, like the whole thing of me saying I'm not very good at pies, so I haven't really done very many pie things in my life. There were a few Thanksgivings in a row where I decided to make a different sort of pie every year. And the one I was most excited about, that was the biggest disappointment, was a pear and brie pie. Wasn't sweet enough.
Sounds good though.
It does sound good. It was beautiful, wasn't sweet enough. Alrighty, we have a pie crust. This is pretty good.
It's going good so far.
This looks really good. So usually I'd prick this, but the recipe didn't say that. You know, because when you're trapping fat in between layers of flour, you're going to have pockets of air that develop when it's baking, and you don't want it to do that. But I'm assuming because we're gonna fill this before it's baked, that's why we're not pricking it. If you're gonna like pair bake this, which is where you put it in the oven and bake it a little bit before you fill it, then you probably want to take a fork and just go around the edge and around the bottom. I'm drying my feet because I don't really want to do this. We pour the water directly in the pie crust. So this is me making water pie, take one and never again.
Wow.
Okay. Now that I've sat with that, we're going to take our sugar, a cup of sugar, and 4 tablespoons or a quarter cup. I don't know why they said 4 tablespoons. We're going to mix these together. I'm a fan of getting the exact right size bowl, which is usually slightly too small. But if you've ever had to do dishes ever in your life, the smaller the bowl, the easier it is to wash. You know when you put one giant bowl in your sink and all of a sudden it seems like you have a mountain of dishes? You can avoid that by mixing in tiny bowls. All right, so my best guess about this recipe is butter plus flour equals a roux, and water plus sugar equals a gooey, roux-y, sweet pie situation. The description is it tastes like a gooey sugar cookie. Great description, very interested. Not so much after I'm making it. The fun part is my mom's gonna be here tomorrow, so I'm gonna feed this to her without telling her what it is. We're gonna see what she thinks. Okay, so it says sprinkle this over, which, and there's a puff there. And it's like, every single step in the recipe is like, for the love of God, do not stir it. And you know, I think that just comes down to like not punching a bunch of holes in your pie crust. Is this doing it for anybody? Oh no, guys, I'm stirring, not intentionally. I really don't know what I'm looking for here. They have a picture, they're like, it'll look like this. I was like, that just looks like sink water. I think this pie tin might be too big. They said a deep dish pie crust. It doesn't look great. It does look like the photo. It doesn't look great. All right, let's keep it moving. Oh.
That's stirring.
There's something in there. It's like a little black, you know when you like burn something and then you don't clean it fully? It looked like one of those little tiny, whatever. Next we're gonna do vanilla. Also don't stir. Don't stir, okay? Literally the whole recipe, don't stir. Your water pie will look like water when you get it out, and don't, for the love of God, stir this pie. Now I'm supposed to put these butter pats just on top. However, these are definitely more dense than water. I think they're gonna sink. Tune in next week for if the butter pats sink. I did room temperature butter because I assumed if it's the Great Depression and they don't have money for an egg, they probably don't have money for like that giant ice cube they'd put to make a refrigerator. But now it's all gooey. Putting it in a pie tin and calling it pie. All right, this is 5 tablespoons as suspected. Totally sank to the bottom. I want these to be like, I don't know, I'm trying to like hack this water pie recipe before I've ever made it. If it wasn't doing it before, is it doing it now for you? Okay, you're technically supposed to cut this into 5 pieces, but I was working with a weird shaped piece of butter because I used it for something yesterday and it was, the point is it wasn't perfectly square, so I wasn't gonna cut it the way they said. This crust looks amazing, but it looks way too big. I mean, like, we're using water. We could have just put more water in it, right? But, okay. So baking. Bakes for a really long amount of time. Bakes for a whole hour, which I guess for a pie, you're like, that's not too long. However, what are we baking here? 30 minutes at 400 and then 30 more minutes at 375. I hate a recipe where you have to change the temperature because it's annoying. But we're gonna do it the way that it says and see what happens. So, here goes nothing. I don't even know how to carry this over there. It's gonna stir as I'm carrying. It's gonna...
Be careful. I'll open the oven for you.
I want it to like genie itself into the oven. Okay, hold on. I feel like Princess Leia with her chain, except less hot. Oh, I covered it so it's burning. It's probably still burning.
Remember, it's gonna be watery.
Oh. Everybody remember, it's gonna be watery when it comes out. It's over. Is the bubbling working for anyone? Should I stir it? Somehow, I believe I've messed up this pie. It's hard to tell because I don't know what I was aiming for. But it looks like all of the butter went this way. And it just like melted over there. I feel like this should, it's literally just gonna go in the fridge and then you're gonna cut into this after it's chilled and you're gonna have a nice disgusting layer of butter just sitting on top of it, which in many situations, great addition. Toast, layer of butter, great. Croissant dough, layer of butter, great. Pie made out of water, layer of butter. So let's look on the bright side. Let's look on the bright side here. Good things. The crust, pretty good. Now that this is out of the oven, it needs to cool to room temperature, and then it needs to go in the fridge overnight. And then we can cut it. And by that point, it shouldn't be watery anymore. Although it'll still be watery, if you know what I mean, because it's made out of water. But anyway, I'll leave this here. Maybe we'll do like a time lapse of this pie just hanging out. No, we won't do that? Okay. It's day 2 on water pie. And as suspected, when it went in the fridge overnight, the butter that had pooled all over the top of it just solidified on the top of it. So I think, if I'm noticing anything else, really strong crust. Did a good job on that one. No soggy bottoms here. Definitely too deep though. I don't know why they called for a deep dish crust. Let's see, did I get good? We got nice color on the bottom, but there's like a whole inch of no pie. Like, not ideal because you want your pie to like, come to like here. That's a cuter look. And this is not really a cute look. I knew that I was going to have to eat this pie today, so I thought the best way to tackle that task, seeing as it's not the most appetizing thing, was to not eat breakfast. Because when you're really hungry, things taste better. I'm hoping that's the case. One last thing I want to point out, my dimples. I noticed these yesterday, and I just want to point out to everybody that I was right. Oh no, oh no. This is not going to be like pancakes where I make a second one to take photos of. My mom's going to be here later this morning, and I was going to ask her what other weird stuff my grandma did from being a child of the Depression. Because last night we found out that one of the grandparents in like the family used to eat water pie all the time growing up. So this isn't like a fake thing. This is a real thing that people used to eat for dessert that I am eating for breakfast. It's just a sad color. I envision everything was like water pie toned during the Great Depression. Just instead of sepia, they had water pie. All right. You know when you psych yourself up for something for so long and then you go to do it, it makes it that much worse. That's what I've done. Okay. It did gel. It just has chunks of butter in it. Okay. It's not terrible. The texture is odd. I don't love the texture. But it is very similar to like any other custard pie. I really think it's the fact that I made this pie from scratch and I know everything that's in it that's throwing me off. However, when you take a bite of this and you get the crust with the water, somehow the combo of those things actually does create like a sugar cookie flavor, but like a haunted sugar cookie flavor. I promise the flavor is good. It's just sweet vanilla. You see what I mean?
No, I don't like that.
It's because you know what's in it. We have to feed it to my mom and see what happens.
What is all this white stuff on top? It's like icing.
Okay.
Can I start talking now?
You
Yeah.
could totally.
Eat your pie.
Mmm. That's an odd taste. Is that bean? Like
No.
garbanzo or...
Guess the main ingredient in this pie.
I'm trying. I thought it was pear or gelatin or apple.
Main ingredient gelatin.
Pudding.
It is your pie crust recipe.
Milk.
Were there any weird desserts that your mom used to eat during the Great Depression?
Oh, sugar pie.
This is called water pie. The main ingredient.
Hence, it's not so sweet as sugar pie. Your sugar was like melted sugar.
This is 1.5 cups of water, a cup of sugar, like a quarter cup of flour, vanilla
there's
extract, and then what's on top is butter that was supposed to melt into the pie but didn't.
Oh, God, it's so good, though. It's crystally. I thought it was dried icing. I really want to, like...
No, that's for photos. You can't do that. You can have this piece.
Ooh, that's a piece. Show me. See, that's sweetness. Everybody needs some butter in their life. Come on.
Do you know any other weird stuff besides drying out paper towels that your mom did because of her Great Depression raising up?
We're using tea bags. We had a lot of powdered milk and powdered cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Powdered cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, powdered cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
Powdered buttermilk is a thing.
Okay.
Yep, we had a lot of that stuff.
If you ever eaten a Dorito, you've had that.
Evaporated milk. We used a lot of that.
Was fresh milk too expensive?
Maybe you had to get refrigerators and use electricity. I don't know.
That was my theory about the butter in this pie, was that it should be room temperature because they wouldn't have a refrigerator to keep it cold in.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There was butter in the pie?
I'll show you the picture of before it baked. And
Oh, you have a before it baked?
yeah, we filmed her baking it.
Oh,
That's what we're
okay.
doing. So your least favorite part is your pie crust recipe.
Well, I don't know if this is my pie crust recipe. I don't know. Did you use cold water or hot water?
Oh.
I told you.
Call me out.
There are flakes there.
Okay. But anyway, I mean, the pie crust is good. It's done on the bottom. But you didn't cook it, though, right? You cooked it before you put that in?
No, it's baked all together. This thing bakes for an hour.
You baked this?
Thank you for joining me over the last 2 days as we explored probably the weirdest recipe I've ever taken on in my life. It wasn't necessarily a disaster, and I would say, flavor-wise, compared to the poop cookies we made last season, an improvement. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me on my water pie journey. Watching me eat this weird pie was fun for almost everybody except for me. I would love it if you guys liked this video or subscribe to my channel. It helps a lot. We're a new channel, so any subscribers we get literally make me so happy, and it makes the algorithm happy, which is what runs our lives. I have no idea how to go up from water pie for next season, because I was like, we're never going to top low-fat cookies, and then someone's like, what if you made a pie out of water?